Welcome back to Beagle Eye Vision. We're on episode number 54 of the CubbyWhole podcast. Wait, is that right? Episode 54? Yeah, we just got done doing episode 53 of the Fellow Craft. This is awesome because I get to do this one and done, so I get to talk a little bit in the intro, get to BS with you guys. Welcome, I'm in Good Neighbor right now. Episode 54, important announcements. So, I thought about skipping this episode because I thought it was just announcements, but yesterday I listened to this entire episode and there is a little bit of knowledge, as usual. There's knowledge in every single one of these episodes, apparently. But it is important to keep this in mind that this was recorded June 17th on 2022. So, just keep that in mind. If there's any seed conference links that I need to put in the description, hopefully I remember to put that in the description. And usual, I have no goals. So, episode 54. We're gonna find more materials, roam the wasteland, hang out with Dog Meat. I got Squirt Dog right behind me. He took up all the pillows. King Squirt Dog over here took up all the pillows, huh? You snoozing on the pillows. I can't even use the pillows on my own bed because Squirt Dog, because Dog Meat. But he's the king around here. I love Squirt Dog. I love Dog Meat. Welcome back. Thank you for choosing Beagle Eye Vision for your entertainment. Hopefully for your education as well. I mean, not fully. I think you should definitely read books. And at the rate of book reviews that I do, the book reviews, it's like... It's not enough. It's not enough. Like, I don't do enough book reviews, but in order to ensure that the book reviews are high quality, I make sure I read the book and listen to the audiobook, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, I'm digressing yet again. Here we go. Let's get some grinding. Welcome. Stay tuned. I'm glad you're tuned in. Let's get it.
It's such a hot topic issue is because we're talking about law. Who gets to be God? Who gets to be God's deputies? Who is the Most High? Who is the divine authority?
I always say divine spirit. It says divine authority.
It's all about the claim to the Most High. The only way that somebody can be higher than us is if we give away our power. Because there's nobody. We're all equal. But we're not equal in our knowledge, so ultimately I think it does have to be a hierarchy, but it has to be a cooperative hierarchy, like a bee colony. It's about what our value system is, what we care about.
Hello, Hive Mind. Today is June 10th, 2022, and I'm your host, Nate Cap. Welcome back. Welcome back to the CubbyWhole.
Yeah,
welcome to the 54th CubbyWhole podcast, where critical topics are unveiled and they're discussed and they're tested. And the website for this show is CubbyWhole.com. That's CubbyWhole.com. And you can listen to this show on Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Simplecast, YouTube, Odyssey, and much more. So hopefully you guys are all doing well, and it is really awesome to be back on the show. It's been since, I believe, December 17th when I last was on, and it's been a very, very interesting ride since then, and I have a lot of updates to go over. So hopefully you guys are all caught up on all these shows. Hopefully you're inspired. Hopefully you've taken it to new levels in your understanding and your research. And, you know, this CubbyWhole podcast, this CubbyWhole website, this idea for what this show really means is such a special place. It's such a special, sacred place for information. You know, that's what the CubbyWhole really means. So anywhere that is
Don't mess with my dog.
that you can go on the internet, or anywhere that you can go where information is stored, where the information has everything to do about the evolution of the human species to, you know, help us free ourselves and become the sovereign human beings that we're meant to be. That is the CubbyWhole, okay? So any other websites that you've ever been to where they're sharing information that is all about freedom and ending slavery, that is a CubbyWhole. That is a sacred place for the serious students who really, truly want to learn about what's truly taking place within and in the world, okay? So, you know, when you look at this symbol, when you look at the CubbyWhole symbol, I created this to show the you know, Draco the dragon protecting this little bear, okay? Because Draco the dragon, when you look up in the North Pole, at the North Pole, Polaris, you see Draco the dragon circling around the Little Dipper, the little bear, the lesser bear, right? The 7 stars, okay? Which is part of understanding the lesser mysteries. Because the lesser mysteries is the 7, and the greater mysteries is the 12, right? So this CubbyWhole, this sacred place, this place that man cannot destroy, is a symbol. It is a symbol where we store information, where we store sacred, important information. All right? So the CubbyWhole is akin to a sacred place that man cannot destroy. So when you understand the secret societies and what they were trying to do, now obviously there's secret societies that were trying to do harm, and there was secret societies, and there is secret societies that are trying to do good, because it's about understanding the world of the occult. It's about understanding that if we are going to preserve information, to preserve knowledge, to preserve anything that can help the human species evolve into higher types, to become the greater version of themselves, of ourselves, well, then we have to understand how to preserve. We have to understand how to put information in places that we cannot destroy. So as we understand the sacred science of putting information into symbol, and then being able to bring the right knowledge to the symbol, to the information, then we'll be able to unlock the mysteries, the my stories, right? Because it's about you on your unique path, discovering who you truly are, being aligned in natural law, and discovering what is true and what is not. And when you come to a place like a CubbyWhole, like the CubbyWhole, you are coming here with the knowledge that you have, and then you're bringing it to the information that you have discovered here or anywhere else, any other type of CubbyWhole, and you're pulling the information with the knowledge that you have to unlock what is true inside. Okay? So the CubbyWhole is a repository. We are putting information into this repository so that you, the serious student who is looking for truth, will discover it a lot easier because there are other beings who are aligned in natural law who are sharing this type of information. And so that's why natural law is so important, because it's about meeting on the level. So whenever you just, like, if you're looking for the truth, look for those who are aligned to natural law. Look for those who are trying to do right in the world. Look for those who are actually busting their ass to try to end slavery, because that's the right thing to do, right? To go in the direction of freedom, because that's the right thing to do. So anyone who is doing the right thing, anyone who is speaking the right thing, because you'll know that a right is an action that does not cause harm to others, well, then you know they're going in the right direction, and therefore you can look into their work to really see what they're trying to say. Because I'll tell you right now, I'm not wasting my time to try to tell people something that isn't true. I'm doing everything that I can to put information out there that I know and understand to be true. Now, some of this stuff, when you're talking about ancient Egypt, now obviously you're going to run into some things that, you really can't, demonstrate fully, because it's ancient knowledge, it's ancient wisdom, it's ancient information that we might not be able to fully demonstrate, because there's not words for it. There's not a way to fully explain things. So it becomes very difficult. But the point is to lay the information out on the table and be as honest as possible in our approach to share the information. So when you come to the cubbyhole, or a cubbyhole, you're coming to a sacred place that information has been stored into for the purpose of doing the right thing, to put information in a place for the serious student who wants to do the right.
Is this dead guy a reference to Blade Runner? Normally I would say it's just a dead guy, but he had that 10mm pistol. I think this is a reference to Blade Runner. I don't know. Maybe not. I'm digressing again.
Now, obviously, there are serious students who want to learn this information and do harm with it, okay? And we have to be aware of that. But there's no point in hiding this information, no matter what, because to hide it is to conceal it and to not allow it to get in the hands of good people, okay? Put it in the hands of people who want to do harm. But if you put it in the minds of the people who don't want to do harm, well, then they'll have spiritual armor to help themselves be shielded from the harmful, wicked ways of those who want to do ill, who don't want to bring harmony into the world. Okay? So to come to the cubbyhole, or a cubbyhole, is to come to a sacred place where information is stored in an honest way. And, I don't do what I do for money. I don't do what I do for popularity. I mean, God, you can go to all my social sites. I get like one like, maybe 10 at the most. I hardly ever get comments.
Here.
I hardly ever get shares.
Here.
I don't make any money on anything that I do. I've lost lots of quote-unquote friends over this information.
Definitely
just
can relate.
For sharing this information, And it is what it is. If you don't want to do the right thing, then and you want to do this kind of, if you want to take on this type of lifestyle, you're not doing it for the right reasons. If you're doing it to get likes, if you're doing it to get comments, if you're doing it to get friends or to get popular, it's never going to amount to anything good if we're going to not take ourselves serious in this endeavor. Okay? Because that's just the way reality works. So I know Douglas and Brandon, they are busting their ass. They're not doing this for money. And yeah, that's why we're aligned. That's why I decided to do this show with them, because I know that those men are real in their approach to do the right thing, to put this information out because they know it's the right thing. They know that it's bound to help end slavery. So it is very important to understand why symbolism is so important in this way, and to understand the language, to understand that if we don't store information, preserve information in a cubbyhole, we're not going to have future generations that are going to have a fighting chance. So the more that we do this, the more that we take this work serious and put it out there for people. And, obviously we have to understand it first. We don't want to just put out work that we don't understand. We don't want to put out work that we believe. Okay? We want to put out work that we understand, that we know, and that we can demonstrate how we know it, and then put it out for the future, put it out for posterity, or for human life to evolve. And that's the truth. We have to be honest, okay? And I think that's something that a lot of people should really take a lot more serious. So there's a lot more that can be said about that, but I just want to let you guys know the updates that I'm going to talk about during this show. So I'd like to talk about some really awesome presentations that have come out, and I also want to talk about a couple of really important conferences that are coming up. And I think anyone who is in search for truth, anyone who wants to support those who are putting their time and attention and busting their ass to put out information, I think these conferences that I'm going to talk about are really vital to join and to let people know about. Also, I would like to talk about the website and what I've done to it to make it better, make it nicer, more effective, more efficient. And also, I have been working really hard on a new show, a new podcast, a new video cast that I'm really excited to tell you guys about, if you haven't heard about it already. And I have also just, life has just been a little difficult, and I might talk about that a little bit too. But to start off, I just wanted to let you guys know about some really awesome presentations by Brandon and Douglas Martin that came out since the last show. And just really, really well done presentations. I know Brandon came on the show and talked about his new Matrix Deciphered presentation that he was going to release, and then he finally did after the last show, and it was really, really well done. Awesome allegorical breakdowns, and some of the breakdowns I hadn't even heard before, which was a really nice surprise. And I definitely hope to have him back on the show really soon, so we can further break down the Matrix trilogy and the Matrix 4, because man, there's so much to talk about. But we'll get there when we get there, and there's other movies we want to break down too. So much work that we want to share with you guys. Also, I think Brandon's going to come out with the Matrix 2 breakdown as well in the near future, so definitely look out for that. Now, Douglas Martin came out with his presentation right around the end of this past winter, which was called The Depravity of the Socialist Mindset, which was very, very well done. And it really put some things in perspective for me that I hadn't really thought about. And I think It is something that anybody who is really trying to understand the polarized dialectics, to really understand the political spectrum better and where that really truly comes from the mind, I think that you will definitely find a very powerful investment in that documentary, or I'm sorry, in that presentation. But he really helps us understand the manifestation of communism and fascism, which are two very important topics that I think people really need to look deeper into, especially anybody who is political, because we'll really start to understand that it all comes from mind, and it all comes from religion. It comes from a religious mindset. It really truly comes from because see, both forms of communism and fascism are forms of socialism, which lead to slavery because it's the belief in authority. And Douglas does a fantastic job at explaining all that. And I mean, it's definitely worth looking into. I highly recommend going and looking into both of those presentations. You can find Brandon's presentation under his name on the CubbyWhole website. And if you go to Douglas on the website, go all the way down. I don't know why, but the bold grid WordPress part of my website does not allow Odyssey for whatever reason, or maybe I'm just not coding it correctly. That could be, I'm sure that's probably the problem, but I haven't got any help from anybody. I'm still trying to figure that out. But in the meantime, there is a link there that you can click on and watch that presentation, and you definitely will not be let down. Now, I just want to talk a little bit about what's been going on with me and why there hasn't been any CubbyWhole shows lately. So last year, I was fortunate enough to take Mark Passio's How to Become the True Media seminar. And it was the last half of last year. And I learned so much about how to manage my work, how to, edit certain things, and how to look for information. I mean, there was just so much that I learned, so much tech that I learned that I had no idea about, or, some things I knew about, I just had to, refine it. And those are things that I feel like I've always been the type of person that just figures things out, but I'm not really, I'm not tech savvy, but I just kind of use common sense in a lot of ways. But there's a lot of tech information that I think is so vital to learn. And Mark did a really great job at helping us understand how to get rid of bad habits and really be more thorough. And so I really appreciate that. And it was a fantastic class. So I highly recommend anyone who is wanting to become better at their media, their content creating, I highly recommend to go join that class and get signed up. And I think you have to get signed up right now. I'll put a link in the description if anyone is looking into that or wants to, who's interested. So, and either way, it's a good way to be educated, in this info war. It's good to be knowledgeable on how to get the truth out there without being blocked, right? Because obviously anybody who's listening to this show understands that censorship is very complex, and I mean, it's just getting more and more advanced, and we have to become more and more advanced to be able to deal with it. And it's a headache, but we're in a war, and we have to learn how to use the tools in the war. So our computers, our understanding of how the media works, those are tools in a war. And obviously we have to be armed with knowledge, but we have to also be armed with the hardware and the software that's going to get that knowledge out there. And it's good to, really be well-rounded in our ways in which we put this information out. We have to be able to edit things and put things together, make slides, and be good with editing our audio and our video, and just being way better with our time. And because that's the thing, a lot of people just feel like they don't have time, but you have to make time. If you truly care, you have to make time. And you have to stop with these really bad habits of saying you're going to get to this instead of just getting to it. And we have to be more creative. We have to really invest into being more creative with how we get our information out there, because every door is being shut and locked for good in a lot of ways. And we have to, we do have to kick down those doors and learn how to kick down those doors, but we also have to learn how to get around those doors and go through those doors. It's very frustrating, but it is what it is. I mean, if you're in a war, you're going to be frustrated that you're in a war physically. Like if you were just on the battlefield with a firearm or a sword or whatever, you're going to be frustrated that you're in a war. You're going to be upset. You're going to be angry. It's like, God, why do I have to do this? Well, it's part of understanding freedom, and we have to fight for freedom. That's just what we do. I mean, it's built into our fabric. And when we care enough and we, appreciate the world that we live in and appreciate life, that's what we do. And if you were born into this time and that's where you're at, then that's the way that it goes. I'm sorry to break it to you. If you're trying to be comfy and, just act like there's no war happening, but sorry, that's not reality. But anyway, since I went through that class, since I went through the how to become the true media class, I decided to give this podcast, this CubbyWhole podcast, a rest. And I wanted to, go start a new video cast, a new podcast, but a video show. And I put a lot of time into learning the new software and media and hardware, because I invested in a 4K camera. I invested into the M1 Mac Mini, and man, it's a beast. Also, I invested in some lighting and some other tech, some other hardware. But I also learned how to organize my files and apps and photos and videos better. And I also got Final Cut Pro, which is what I've been using for my new show. And it's something that is, I would say, has helped me tremendously at learning how to, use video and edit video and just be more creative and be more confident, because I've been trying to do each show without doing any edits, so that way I go all the way through and stop being so critical about every little detail, and just really trying to speak my mind better and clearer, and just trying to do something more, trying to push myself more. And I'm really thankful that I have done that, but I couldn't have done it without the inspiration and the class of that seminar really pushing me out there to do it. So I am really, really thankful to have learned that information, to have learned the new tools in this fight, the more advanced tools in this fight, in this war. And if you're not familiar with my new show, it's titled Outcasting, with a subtitle called Bits of Science Towards Freedom. And so, I put some time into this little show to not only refine my content creating skills, but also revisiting and simplifying some of the things that have already been touched on before in the CubbyWhole podcast. But that's not to say it's, just some kind of rehash of this show. I'm just simplifying and adding much more into these shows that you may not hear in this show. Okay? Because it's about understanding that I am just putting information out there that is little parts, little bits, little amounts of information of the whole, because it's about putting little parts of information that was never really expanded on in the CubbyWhole, but I simplified it enough to hopefully get people inspired to want to go to the CubbyWhole to learn more about those topics that I share on that show. And it's a very short show in comparison to the CubbyWhole. It's only 5 to 20 minutes, so that way it's easier to digest, to whet people's appetite more, in hopes that it gets them inspired to go further in their studies, whether it be through listening to this CubbyWhole podcast or anywhere else that they go for their information. And you could say it's an advertisement for the CubbyWhole, because it is to a degree, but I'd rather say it's an extension of simplicity and refinement of this show. Okay? And like I said, there's definitely some, very important topics that are not on this show that will be on Outcasting, which may never air on this show. So it is a place, it's a solo place. It's where, I'm just doing it myself. And it is a place where I can just get out information weekly that I know could be said more simple, or just could be more focused on some smaller or some bigger topics, smaller or bigger topics that could be just more focused on and not put into a 2-hour show like the CubbyWhole. But you can find the Outcasting show on YouTube and Rumble so far, because for whatever reason I have not had any luck with Odyssey. I just haven't invested time into it, but I'm going to. I'm working towards it, so it will be out on Odyssey eventually. And you can also find my personal collection of my work on onegreatworknetwork.com, where you can also find other content creators. And also you can find my work here under Nate Outcasting. And you can see that I've organized my page a lot better, so you can see where my new Outcasting shows are. You can see my esoteric art, my presentations, some interviews I've done. And, I'm always keeping it up to date the best that I can. And if you're interested in seeing my Outcasting show and, seeing what it's all about, I'll leave a link under the description. Also, if you're on Telegram, you can find me there under Outcasting with Nate Cap, and so you'll see that I post on there sometimes during the week just with updates, and I'll be talking about this show on there. So if you want to get updates on the CubbyWhole, that's where I'll also be doing my updates. So Telegram, it's a great place. If you haven't heard about it, I highly recommend going there if you want to share content or look for other people's content, because, they haven't really censored it so much. Censorship isn't as bad on there as most places, and I'm sure it will be eventually, but for now, we use it as a place of looking into information that you probably can't find in most places. So it is a good spot for now. Obviously, if you're on the dark web and you know how to navigate that, then that's your best option. But for anyone else who just wants to get updates, or if you have your own show and you want to update, I highly recommend going there. So it is a good spot for now. Something else that I'd like to mention that is really exciting is that Brandon has built a new website called seedtruth.com, where you can, not only find his great work, but you can also find all the seed conferences, and you can find all the presentations in each of those conferences, and that's really cool. So all the conferences that Douglas and I helped Brandon put together are on there, and it's really awesome that we were able to be part of all those. Each conference got better and better, and it was just so cool to see its inception and where it has gone so far. It's really, really awesome. Brandon has done such a great job, and he really put his whole heart and soul into bringing people together to help reduce this ongoing slave system. And he's done an excellent job, all things considered. And we're planning on having another seed conference coming up in the near future, so definitely look out for that. And if you want to check out Brandon's new Seed Truth Academy, just go to the CubbyWhole website at the top and click on Seed. So that's another place that you can find it. And, just go in there and dive deep and enjoy. Also, I'd like to mention that Brandon will also be giving a presentation at this year's Funnel, FUNL, standing for Freedom Under Natural Law, Part 2. Okay, so they've already had a conference, I think the beginning of this year, and now they're having another one, which is amazing. And it is this September 10th through the 11th. So 2022, and it's an awesome lineup of some really top-notch speakers. And you can find more about this conference at freedomundernaturalllaw.com. And I'll leave a poster in the images section under podcast 54, where you'll also be able to find another poster of another important conference happening almost, I believe, 2 weeks later than this one, called Shattering the Illusion, which is happening September 24th, 2022. Okay, so September is going to be a very vital month to tune into and share some spiritual currency with some very heavy-hitting speakers who have some super critical knowledge to expose and share with you guys. So I highly recommend going to these conferences. Oh yeah, and the website for Shattering the Illusion, if you want to know more about that, it's shatteringtheillusion.info. So that's shatteringtheillusion.info, and that's freedomundernaturalllaw.com for the other conference, okay? And like I said, I'll leave some posters in the description under this show. Now, I want to talk about the website a little bit more. I know I talked about it a little bit about my part of the website under my name, but I went ahead and redid the whole podcast section to make it a little nicer, more condensed, a little bit more organized. I had a lot of trouble with this website with WordPress and BoldGrid, and I just kept working at it, kept pushing, kept asking for help, but never really got help. I got help on some things, but other things weren't explained very well, and I just, I made it work. And it's really nice now. Before, whenever you went through the slides, it was on the cover flow option, which was really nice, but it didn't work well with the way that the website is set up. I don't know why, but I ended up using a different way of putting the images up, and it's really nice now. It's very simple. You just click on the images and it pops up, and you can slide through it, and all the images are really big and clear, and there's no images going through images like before, which was really annoying. It didn't do that on certain browsers, but it did do that on the phone, and it kind of did it on some tablets, and it was just very unorganized and shitty, and I'm really sorry about that. It was very embarrassing, and it's just, I didn't know what to do, but I had to get the information out there, so I fixed it. You can go through every single podcast now, and you can click on the image, you can save the image, which I highly recommend, so that way you have the images for your use, whatever you want to do with them. And also, it makes the show so much more functional and efficient. So I'm really happy about that. I'm really happy that I took the time to redo all that. And it's just so much more organized, and I really think you guys will like it a lot more. I don't know how to get rid of the white sidebars around the image. So if any of you know Bold Grid or WordPress and you know how to get rid of the white columns, if you want to call them that, around the images or around the thumbnail, then please let me know. Please email me at cubbyhole@mail.com, so that way I can figure this out and I can get rid of that problem, because it would be so nice to not have that there. But at the same time, it really doesn't bother me too much. I just think it might look a little better without those, but maybe it actually helps it. I don't know. You tell me. But also, if you are using your phone, it's better if you turn your phone sideways to look at the slides. So definitely try that just to see, because it looks so much better. Like I said, none of the images are going through each other, and it looks so much cleaner. And I think you guys will really appreciate it better now, and not have any more issues. But please let me know if you do, because I really want to make sure that this website works and functions properly in a easy way, so that way it's not annoying for you. And also, I would like to catch you guys up on the last few shows that I did. I also had Douglas Martin on one of those shows, but we were talking about Freemasonry. And in show 51, I got into the Fellowcraft. And so, basically everything that I'm talking about is esoteric Freemasonry. And I got into the symbol of the winding staircase, which was very, very important which is very important to understand, because it's about the unfoldment of the soul. It's about the journey of the soul. And I got into the liberal arts, which is about the trivium and the quadrivium. It's about getting to the truth. These are methodologies of getting closer to truth. And I also got into the five senses, the esoteric and the exoteric versions of the understandings of the five senses. And
I'm just going to use the restroom real quick. Enjoy the view, everybody.
Covered the square and compass, which is a very powerful symbol to understand, but you can't really understand that symbol without the G in the middle. And the G is a extremely important topic that everyone who is listening to this show should study very deeply. It is a symbol of symbols. It's about understanding the seven, and it's also about understanding the generative principle. And the generative principle, I'm telling you, is one of the most powerful things that you can learn in the mystery traditions, because it's about finding your care. And then I had Douglas Martin on the show to talk about ancient Freemasonry in episode 52. And it was a very, very powerful show. We got into some really deep correspondences with the brain and the symbolism of Freemasonry to help us understand the correspondence to the earth. and the pyramids, and it is very, very powerful to understand. And we also got into socialism and the Aborigines and the tracing boards, and it was a fantastic show. So I definitely recommend going back and listening to that if you have not. So then I finished off the year with episode 53, where I got into the fellowcraft. I went further into the fellowcraft, the second degree of Freemasonry. And I also talked about natural law and moral law and the middle chamber, understanding the heart and the mind as, in the middle. And I got into green language, which I am going to get into deeper on the next show. So definitely do not miss that, because I think that is very vital to understanding sovereignty and a lot more, obviously. But getting to understanding green language, or the language of the birds, is really, really going to help us get through this information with more of taking authority over ourselves and really, being more responsible for what we know and what we discover, and being able to look at things objectively and subjectively, and look at all words and phonetic sounds and symbols in ways that can help us discover something deeper that we might not have been able to without the help of the understanding of green language. So, and also I got into the mansion, which is about understanding green language, and the Kundalini energy as a symbol in the From Darkness to Light tracing board. And it is really, really powerful to see this, because, it's about understanding the caduceus. It's about understanding the sacred feminine and sacred masculine energies intertwined in a dance, and, coming from our, base red root chakra and moving up through our spine to the crown. And, this is about raising our consciousness. This is about coming to enlightenment, coming to light, because it's about moving east, going in the east direction towards light. And I also shared the symbolic nature of Ra in correspondence to the Pi Ra mid, so that way we can understand the fire in the middle. And that's a very, very powerful thing to understand, because it helps us not only understand ourselves inwardly, but it also helps us understand the pyramids, the pyramids, and what they truly mean spiritually. And then, of course, I also got into the inherent spiritual tools and cycles and the seven, all things seven. And then I got into care, and that's all about understanding the generative principle. So that was what the last few episodes were about in a nutshell. And now I'm going to go into green language. I'm going to do a whole show of green language, and then I'm going to advance us into the third degree. And that's going to take a few episodes to really demonstrate and talk about, because there's a lot. I could talk about all three tracing boards, 10 episodes each, just because there's that much knowledge. But, I'm simplifying things and really just trying to keep it simple. And it's really up to you guys if you want to go further and educate yourselves and pull from these images, these archetypes, these tracing boards. It's up to you to trace back into antiquity and our history, and really go deep into ourselves esoterically and see for yourself and teach yourself the information that's stored in these encyclopedias, because that's what they are. These images, these tracing boards that I'm sharing are encyclopedias. They are filled with knowledge. They are filled with information. And when we bring enough knowledge to these tracing boards, we will reveal so much more about ourselves that we never could have done if we just stayed in our level of consciousness with public schooling. And it's a wild, interesting thing that we can wake up to and that we can discover. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful way to wake up, and it's also a very painful way. But it's beautiful in the sense that we become sensitized. That's the pain. We become sensitized, and we start to take back our sovereignty and do the right thing, because that's what it's about. And there is so much more to talk about, and I'm really excited to get back on here and start talking about these very heady topics. And I think I'm going to go ahead and end this show here. And if you're interested in more shows, if you're interested in any of the presentations from the seed conferences or any news, you can go to CubbyWhole.com. And if you have any questions regarding any of the topics for these shows, you can email me at CubbyWhole@mail.com. And also any donations that you would like to give to the CubbyWhole go directly to the maintenance of the CubbyWhole website, and also the Simplecast podcast area where I share the podcast to be broadcast to other podcast avenues. And it costs money to maintain that, and it's it's very important that we keep that information out there in that way. But obviously you can always find the podcasts here at the CubbyWhole. So either way, your contribution is going towards this show, and it's very much appreciated. And also, if you can't make a donation, hopefully you're at least putting information out there. That's another way of donating to this show, because it's about getting closer to freedom. It's about freeing us from this slave system. And I appreciate you who is putting the effort into helping end slavery. So I'm your host, Nate Cap, and I thank you for listening. And keep in mind to do no harm, defend truth, and keep transcending dogma.
Yes. All right, another amazing episode. And I just want to second what he said about how to become the true media seminar. Although, when I took it for, what does my certification say? I got my certification over here. I took it for 2023. And when I took it in 2023, it cost about $560, $540, $500 and some change. All right. And I know, like, to people like me, that's expensive. And people everybody kept asking me, like, that's a lot of money. You know, you're spending that much money to get an education that's not from the state. And without hesitation, yes, I was willing to spend that much money to get an education that has nothing to do with college, and it's not a state-run, college, GED, all this. It's a little pricey, I understand, but it is phenomenal. That class, I would love to take it again. I wish I had the money to take it again this year, but I just, I'm stressed. I got some personal things going on. Stressed, man. Stressed because of lies. But I definitely want to take it again. Maybe 2025. Maybe I can get back on track and do it, because That class is so good. Yeah, and like what Nate said, you just learned so much. I mean, you learned so much about programming, about computers in general. If you have any interest out there, to the Beagle Eye audience, if you have any interest in computers or programming or producing your own content, or even you want to, you just want to simply produce a podcast, I recommend taking that class. I highly, highly, highly recommend taking that class. If you can afford it, it's so absolutely worth it. You get every dollar is worth it. Every penny is worth it. I mean, you get so much. I've met friends like one of our co-hosts on Crazy Life Stories with Matt Bennett, Crazy Life Stories podcast with Matt Bennett that I do. I'm the co-host of Crazy Life Stories. One of my classmates, Dennis Gilmore, he's also an author. He's a truther, an author. He's a freedom fighter. He's a Canadian. He lives in Canada. He's an awesome guy. He's a legend, and I met him through this class. And he's every Sunday he's on the podcast with me and Matt Bennett. I think he's an awesome person, and I met him through the class. So basically, through this class, I got a co-host, and that class also is the reason why I started doing this grinding series, because I had the equipment, right? I have the game system. I could record. My computer is really old, though. I have a really old computer that it was a hand-me-down. The computer that was given to me is an old hand-me-down. So I do what I can. I do what I can with the equipment that is given to me, and I have the skills to do it. But I also like for the thumbnails on anything you see on this YouTube channel, for the thumbnails that I create, I can't afford like Adobe Photoshop, an Adobe Photoshop program. I can't afford that. I can't afford a video editing software program. I just simply can't afford it, even though it's free. There's OBS is free. My computer can't run OBS. So I just can't use it. I would like to get higher quality on the YouTube channel. I would love to put in work on every episode and edit these episodes, but I'm doing what I can through the education that I received through How to Become the True Media seminar. And I met some good friends like Fortnite. I can't say his name on here, but I met somebody who grinds on Fortnite with me, and I met a lot of amazing people through that class. That class is just absolutely worth it. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. I still need to type an email about a review that every single classmate in 2023 was going to write a testament and send it directly to Mark Passio. And letting him know about how his class helped us and how How to Become the True Media seminar has evolved us, and how this channel has helped us. And yes, if you don't know who Mark Passio is, he's an absolute legend. He was on the CubbyWhole podcast on one of the previous episodes. He's an absolute legend. He's the teacher of How to Become the True Media. It's his class. So you get to hang out, you get taught by a legend, a living legend, literally a living legend. I mean, he's still alive, he's still grinding, he's still doing his thing to this day, dude. He's an absolute legend. He just posted out like 6 phenomenal presentations. And that's another thing, like, I would love to do a presentation on books. CubbyWhole, or not CubbyWhole, Beagle Eye Visions, like, I love books. I would love to do an entire presentation. I have my entire presentation outline done. But again, I don't have the money for PowerPoint. I don't have... PowerPoint can't run on my computer. I can't get it for free. There's no free PowerPoint presentation program that I know of that I can use. If there is a presentation program out there that's free, that's similar to PowerPoint, I would love to build my presentation and release it out on the internet. I would love to do that, but I have plenty of time. I just don't have the equipment. And it sucks. It sucks. But anyways, PS5 is gonna kick me out. I'm running out 60 minutes. So if you want to support the channel, use code BeagleEyeVision at w.gg. We're gonna keep grinding. Keep more episodes are gonna keep coming out. I'm gonna keep pumping them out. Absolutely, no question. Gonna be pumping out some music, maybe some more covers, maybe more Johnny Cash covers. Who knows? Thank you if you made it this far. You are an absolute legend. Thank you if you support the channel. I love you. I love you so much. You're an absolute legend. No homo or whatever. I just love you. I love you. I thank you. Thank you so much. Stay tuned and stay golden.